Hello! This is Hooked by Happenstance. I'm Kendra, and it is time for episode 62 of Makes Monday. Makes Monday is my crochet podcast here at Hooked by Happenstance, where I show you all the things that I made in a period of time. Now, this particular episode was brought about by my lovely fibery doppelganger, who I unfortunately have tucked over there right now. She's just like watching me film from afar. But Peachlet has this fun game, which is actually sitting right here, called Let Peachlet Play, where she helps me to be decisive about some of the extra things that I want to make sure that I'm doing in my crafty life. And I've kind of given over control of my crafty life to her. She most recently picked that I would Makes Monday happen. So here we are, y'all. I'm making a podcast. I don't know why these are so hard for me to make. I have like some weird, I don't know, hang up about sitting down and doing these. But I know everybody likes them. It's like the standard thing to do. Maybe that's part of why I don't like making them. I don't know. But here I am, and I have heaps of stuff around me because I have not made a video of this sort since the 6th of February. And right now it is the 1st of April. So there's a lot of things. Now, I say there's a lot of things, and I assume some of you are thinking there's like a lot of things Kendra style, which usually is a lot of things in a month. And there's really, I mean, for it being 2 months, there's not that much stuff. But we'll talk about them as we go through. I will show you all of the things that I have completed, the things that I'm working on. I'm looking around because I'm literally surrounded. But the way that I like to begin these podcasts is to talk about the word, which is the title, and how it applies to my crafting and such. So, look at the dictionary on my phone. So, the word of the week is thawing, which is a verb, and according to Merriam-Webster, thaw means to go from a frozen to a liquid state or melt, to become free of the effect, such as stiffness, numbness, or hardness, of cold as a result of exposure to warmth. To be warm enough to melt ice and snow, used with it in reference to the weather. To abandon aloofness, reserve, or hostility, to unbend. Or to become mobile, active, or susceptible to change. So, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel a thawing going on. Part of the reason I have not filmed is because I have had intermittent bouts of like, I don't know, mental unwellness in the last few months, but as many of you know, that is not an uncommon thing for me. It just kind of put me at a standstill for a little while, but I am feeling dramatically better right now, which is good, and not in what I think of as an unhealthy way, because sometimes my mood and motivation, energy levels will like roller coaster, so they'll be really low, and then they'll be like super high. And I don't think that super high is healthy either, nor is the super low. But I'm like feeling good, but in like a nice mid-range. So, while I'm there, I'm going to try and take advantage of it and get as much of the things that I want to be doing in life done while I feel like up to it. I don't know. I don't really have good explanation, but thaw and thawing felt like the right word. As the spring is coming in and the warmth is happening. I'm not really like feeling a great warmth of the weather, but it does mean that my family who enjoys the outside are able to get a lot of their energy out, which is bringing a lot of peace into the spaces that I am in, and it's good overall. So there's a thawing occurring. And with that thawing and general like that frozen feeling that I felt in, there has been a deluge, as happens when all of the snow melts, which is happening outside my house. Everything just gets kind of squishy, and there's this deluge. And in my life, there's been a deluge of creativity. You will see as we go through the stack, there have been a lot of patterns happening. That process is going much better. My brain is like doing the things that I need and want it to do to make that happen. My energy level also has been able to balance more of that in with my normal life, and it's been good things. I am feeling invigorated by the things I am doing here on the channel. I don't know that they're the things that everybody else wants me to be doing, But that's really, to me, not the most important part. If I make the things that I want to make and that feel good to me to be making them, I think that all of you will benefit, and that you can just take a tip from that and do the things that you want to be doing, the things that make your heart sing, and people will either get on board or not, and that's fine. Because the important thing is that you are finding and doing things that inspire you, and hopefully they will inspire somebody else. And it doesn't really matter how many somebody else is, someone will get some of that good feeling off the good feeling that you're having. I usually give you a bunch of like details and notes stuff at the end, but since I don't know how long this whole thing is going to be because of the piles of stuff I had, I thought that I will give you some shop and channel notes up front, and then we'll move along. So as far as the channel here, I am planning on doing Veda, which is video every day in April. I've tried this before, and sometimes I've been successful, and sometimes I haven't, but, you know, it's worth a shot, and I think it will be good fun. I have lots of things planned and already, like, scheduled to go up for y'all this month, so there will be something here every day in April. One of the things that I will be doing is putting up some We Meant to Write Sooner videos, which are where Peachlet and I do verbal responses to comments. As you all know, I have some difficulty with comments and social anxiety and all those things. So I don't always reply. I read all the comments, I absorb all the comments, I just can't always answer them. But I have, and last year I did a few of these videos where I did verbal responses, and that was much better for me, so I'm going to try putting those out. They will be coming out on Mondays, a couple of the Mondays throughout the month. So I'm basically just going to batch all the comments from videos in the weeks. So if you'd like to comment on this video or on any of the videos during Veda, go ahead and I will be answering those in verbal form in We Meant to Write Sooner videos. Also, I am doing a craft show at the end of the month. I will be at the Tulip Festival in Wamego, Kansas on April 27th and 28th. Yes, that's the correct dates. So if you are in the area and would like to go, that's a thing that I will be vending at in person. I don't know that I'm going to be adding anything to my shop until then, but there is still a coupon code if you use the code TAGLESS in my shop. All of the bags and bag bundles that are currently there, they do not have my new tags on them, but they are 10% off if you use the code TAGLESS at checkout, and that sale will run until I do an update, which might not be until after the show. There's a good chance I'll just leave that code up through there. So if you're interested, head over to shop.hookedbyhappenstance.com and you can check those things out. Additionally, if you are interested in the Bit and Pieces Mystery Project Bag Club, which comes out during the first week of every month, that is available for $30. That includes shipping. You'll receive a medium-ish sized pieced project bag. So that means that it has like a quilt blocked front and a matching progress keeper. There's also options that you can add to do multiple months. If you sign up for 3 months at a time, you get a free notions pouch. You can also sign up to get additional stitch markers or a Bingo Bags notion pouch with your order. So those are all options. That is up on the shop. You can sign up at any time. It's got rolling sign-ups. If you sign up before the 15th of the month, you'll be in for the next month. So sign up by April 15th and you will be in to get May's bag. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. So I think without further ado, since I have so many things, we should go through the stack. I have a stack next to me, and I tried to stack it in order from my most recent finishes are on the bottom. My oldest finishes are on the top. We'll work through that, and then we'll talk about the things that I'm working on, because there's a pile. Before I sat down to do this, as I was gathering everything up, I was a little surprised at how small the stack is, but how large some of the items are. So that's good. I also went through my, on the hooks, and I frogged several things today, because I was like, you know, these just aren't a thing that I'm interested in anymore, or I think I can do it better, and so I just let them go. And I feel like currently my hangers are empty. I mean, there's things over here that will go back up on them, but I feel good about the place that we're at, and that's good. A renewed rejuvenation as spring is sprunging. as spring is like coming in and thawing all the wintry things. So let's talk about what I've accomplished. My fancy show notes are my bingo boards because at the top I write all the things that I finish as I finish them. This is the only way I remembered what I got done. So, looking at the month of February, the first thing that I finished was this. This is a cardigan. It is based on the Reminisce cardigan pattern by Heidi May of the Velvet Acorn, but I made numerous changes, such as it's textured and that pattern is not. I changed up some of the ways that I did the edgings, and I basically just used the math for the sizing of the raglan increases and such because I knew that they worked for me. And then I played with it because I've made this pattern enough times that I'm totally comfortable just doing that. So this is made out of some Caron Simply Soft Party in whatever the pink colorway is. I don't know where the ball bands are. I bought this I got some gift cards for my birthday from my in-laws, and so after Christmas, Steve and I went on a big spree of me buying yarn. I spent my gift cards all in one day, and I have the makings for a couple of cardigans and other things for myself. So as I get around to it, it will be adding to my handmade wardrobe. I had not gotten buttons yet. Since the day that we went and bought the yarn for this, I have not actually been to Joann's or any, like, craft stores. I have bought some yarn online, though. But that was for a specific project. Anyways, I haven't bought buttons for this, but the other day I wanted to wear it. I didn't wear it without buttons, and it just wasn't that comfortable. But I threw in these gray buttons. These are, like, my favorite buttons. I have them on my other Reminisce cardigan. I have bought some of every color of this style of button that they sell at Joann's because since I like it, I feel like they're going to disappear on me any day. So I like to have a stockpile. So I actually need to buy some more of the gray ones. But I have found that I like the way the gray looks with the pink. And this has just been a nice sweater so far. So if you watch my daily vlogs on Happenstance Place, you will have seen me wearing this on multiple occasions. It's so squishy. And it's very vibrant, and I think that I will actually wear it more as the spring is happening because it'll be a better weight. It is light-ish weight because of the yarn that I used, so it's not super warm, which was not ideal for the cold that we were having in February, but will be nice moving forward. Next thing that I finished is also out of Caron Simply Soft Party. I made a lot of things out of Caron Simply Soft Party this month because it's like easily accessible sparkle yarn, and that's what I wanted at the time. So this is a pattern of mine called the Celestia Crinkle Cowl. I designed it last year for my sister's birthday when I went out to California. I designed a cowl for her and gave her one, and then I just never put the pattern out. So I went through and tweaked the pattern and got it all written up, and I made a couple, and here is my finished product. This is a skein of the purple, and then most of the skein of the like variegated purple and silver. I just needed more yarn, and I only had one skein of the purple. So I filled in with this, and I actually kind of like how it's like kind of 2/3, 1/3, because it gives me options when I'm wearing it. Like depending, I can wear it kind of like on the side. If you wear it in the back, you hardly notice it. You can kind of wear it in the front. So I've worn it different ways with different outfits and different moods, and it gives me one piece that is super versatile. And I just like this cowl pattern. I think it's a nice length for being fashionable, but it also does provide me warmth and kind of warmth in this core region, which you'll hear me talk about a lot today. I like having a little extra fabric, like just sit right here, especially if I'm like feeling a little under the weather or I want to feel cozy. Like this makes me feel cozy without making me feel claustrophobic, which sometimes in certain moods being wrapped up in like a blanket or a shawl, I'm just like, I don't want anything to touch me, but I want to feel all like snug, and this helps with that. So the Celestia Crinkle Cowl, if you're interested. This pattern is in Peachless Pattern Pile on Patreon, which is a phrase I'm going to say a lot as you see this pile. I will just explain it once up front here. So Patreon is a platform where you can monetarily support creators who inspire you. the way that you can do that is by getting perks. There are a number of things that you can receive in different tier levels over there. At the $2 level, you immediately gain access to the pattern for my Inspiritment shawl, which is on the wall of my office, my Wall of Fame. Your name will go up on it. At the $5 tier, you get a monthly postcard that I hand make for you, and some of them are quite labor intensive, that Peachlet and I sign and write things to you, and those come out once a month. There's also the $8 level, which is Peachlet's pattern pile, which gives you access to all of my patterns that are online. And then at the $10 level, there is the Happenstance Happy Hour, where once a month I do a Google Hangout, and you can come and talk to me, and we just hang out for like an hour, hour and a half, and have a chat. And then there's also the $15 level, which is the Wordsmith level, where if you would like to pick a word, I will make a video or a pattern or something. I mean, there will be a video that goes with it, but I will make a creative endeavor based on your word, and then we can all experience that together. So those are the patron options. So when I talk about Peachlet's pattern pile, that's what it is. When you sign up for Patreon, you sign up and then you're billed the first of the month after you sign up. So that is kind of how that cycles, because I've had people ask me about that. So like, today is April 1st. Patrons will be billed today. So if you sign up between now and the end of the month, you'll be billed May 1st. So just keep that in mind when you are patronizing. That's not the right word. They picked such a good word with the term Patreon, but they did not pick good verbiage for how and what to use for being part of that. And I have not come up with a good word yet myself. I should probably think on that. But that is all I have to say about Patreon, and we will move along to the next thing that I worked on, which is also out of Karen's Simply Soft Party, and it is the Celestia ribbed hat. And this pattern is also available in Peachlet's pattern pile, and it coordinates with the Celestia crinkle cowl. This hat is cool because it can be worn two directions. If you wear it this way, you get this kind of nice, like, textured pattern, and there's this piece here. It's kind of a faux braid. I'll put it on in a sec so you can see. And then on this side, you get the ribbing, which I think is just a really neat detail. So, of course, I can't see myself, so I might look a mess, but this is the hat, and I like this, the striping section. Again, I've been really into this idea with my patterns of kind of versatility, having one piece that you can zhuzh up different ways, because I think it makes it a better staple in a handmade wardrobe, is having things that you can change up, because I might want to wear it on Tuesday and Thursday and I don't want it to look the same. Or I might go in a phase where I really like it a certain way, like I like it out with the rib side. But then next month I might be like, you know what, I'm not feeling that anymore. Ooh, look, let's flip it the other way maybe. Let's put the other texture out, and it's like a different hat. Feels a little different, and I like having those options. That's the coolest thing about making your own stuff, is that you open up all of these creative options to the clothing that you wear. So this is the one that I made out of the Karen Simply Soft Party in whatever the tealy colorway is. Again, I don't know the colorway names, but if you go and look at the store, you will see there's only one option. This yarn, I actually don't even know what it is, because this was a mill-end bag from Joann's, but this is the same hat. These are identical hats. These are both the Celestia ribbed hat. This is it with the textury side out. And then here is the ribbed side. And I found that I was really enjoying wearing this toward the end of February. How I have made it as long as I have without like a standard plain blue hat, I don't know, because I mean, I don't have a lot of clothing that is blue, but the stuff that I have just doesn't really match any other like colored accessories, and so it's kind of nice. Also, I mean, I made a hat that didn't have sparkle or anything super like fancy about it, so when I wear this, I feel like I look like, it's like my low-key look, right? You're not standing out in this hat. You're just kind of like, it's nice. I feel like it has some texture to it, but it's not a showpiece. It's functional, and I like it. So this hat has gotten a decent amount of wear, and I was also really glad to finally use this yarn. I bought it so long ago. I still have a little bit more. I don't know what I'm going to make out of it, but I like it. It has an interesting content to it. I mean, I think it's just acrylic, but it's It's a soft but kind of hardy acrylic, so I have no clue what it is. Next, we move on to one of the like prettiest things I think I made, which is this. This is the dress that I made myself in time for Valentine's Day. Now, we don't really do like Valentine's in some sense where like Steve and I feel like, oh, we must buy each other expensive gifts. It's actually just a fun day with our family where we usually eat heart-shaped pancakes. Like that's the funnest part of Valentine's. And for me, Valentine's tends to mark the end of like the worst part of the year, because I don't like, basically from Halloween till Valentine's Day, I just don't like the world. I'm not a huge fan of Christmas, and Christmas just tends to overtake all of those times. So it's like Valentine's is the marker that like it's over. We're on to a new part of the year. So I made a celebratory dress. The top of this is also made out of Karen Simply Soft Party in with the grayish color. And then this bottom bit, I sewed the fabric skirt. It's got stripes. This fabric's from Joann's, and so is this one. And then this is some fabric that I had bought from one of our local quilt stores. Has a big sale on the 4th of July every year, and I bought a whole bunch of clothes. Well, they're going to be clothes. They're clothes, some assembly required. I bought a whole bunch of fabric last year to make myself a handmade wardrobe, and I actually have capri pants that I made out of this gray. We call it my tic-tac-toe pants, but I just added some of that in to help make it a wee bit bigger to get the right fit. So there's some pictures of this on Instagram if you'd like to see what it looks like on my person, but I really like it, and I will be wearing it more now that it has warmed up some, because it was a little cool to wear it for a while, and I have to wear leggings under it, but it should be warm enough here soon where I can free my legs and wear all my dresses without leggings, without freezing. So that'll be good times. Next thing that I made was a pair of socks for Steve, my husbandstance. He has been wearing them. It was very cute. He came out on his last days off and was talking to me and like just sitting there talking to me, and I'm like, are you wearing your socks? And he totally was. So, you know, he's trying to keep himself in good for being crochet worthy, and he totally is. So those socks though are in the laundry because he has been wearing them. The next thing that I completed was this sweater. In fact, this sweater is made out of, 4 burnout pops. So there was a gray and pink, which I think is lipstick on my collar. And then I had one that was the like gray and white tones. I had those together in like a cowl poncho-y thing that I had made in New Year's 2018. And so I just didn't wear it very much. I liked some of the ideas, but it needed to be tweaked a little. So I decided to just frog it because I wasn't wearing it because I didn't have the right things to wear with it. And it needed to be something new. I also had this, like the green and purple. That is the green and purple is from another burnout pop. I had tried making a sweater and I had like worked from both ends and I liked the way that looked. However, I knew I was going to need like 4 more to do what I wanted, and I was just not into investing that much into the burnout pops at the time. So I had frogged that, and then I had a like lavender and pink burnout pop that I had just never cracked into. That might be it. It might just be the 4. I think that's right. So I took those balls and I alternated them in a way that made me happy, and I made this sweater up on the fly. And I used some different stitch patterns and I really like it. And I kind of want to reverse engineer, make myself another one. A lot of people have commented the neckline on this turned out really nice. It's been a little, today it hasn't been sitting quite right, but I think that has more to do with the outfit, like what I'm wearing underneath it, than the sweater itself. But the neckline is just really pleasant and I like the way it looks. I think it's very flattering, so I will probably be doing something that plays with this idea some more, you know, in the future. I like the idea of mixing cakes up, not using the color progressions they use, because they're not always, in most of the like already mixed color gradient like cakes, there's usually one tone in each one that I just am not that big a fan of. And this is a way to like kind of mitigate that and change it up and, I don't know, make it more fun. So that is where this stands, and I like the way it feels. I also should mention that I've just used some YM brand mandala, and I've used the sweet rolls, and I've used Karen cakes, and I've used Karen big cakes, and now I've used the Bernat Pops, I've used them before. And I can overwhelmingly say that out of all of those, my favorite yarn is the Bernat Pops. I like it's like springy in a way that I enjoy, and I don't usually like super thick yarns. I'm not the hugest fan of like Red Heart with Love, and I don't like Bernat Blanket at all. It hurts my hands. I mean, those are different weight yarns, but you know what I mean as far as like springy yarns. But the Bernat Pops just have a nice texture to work with, and I have found that compared to anything from the Karen line, they have fewer knots in them. So that is good. All right, moving along to the next thing that I finished, which was, this. Where'd it go? This. It's a tiny, quick ribbed brooch that I made. Basically, I just made this little rib thing, and it's made out of some more Karen Simply Soft Birdie. And this is in the lighter gray with like the rainbowy sparkle. And then what I did was on the back, when I sewed my ends in, I just, I wrapped them around a bunch of times and kind of made like a little pocket out of the end. And then I took this, which is a coilless safety pin. I've been making beaded stitch markers on these, and I can also use them to make brooches. So you just take the coilless safety pin and you slide it into these stitches, and then you just go around the bend, and your pin is locked into the back of your brooch. So the reason I made this is because I have a light shawlette that I made, oh gosh, at this point 4 or 5 years ago. It was the first nice thing that I ever made myself, and that I like bought yarn specifically for, and I bought a pattern, which was like unheard of at the time. Not because I was making patterns, because I just hadn't gotten to that point. I was a free pattern person only at the time. But I wanted to be able to wear it, and it wasn't staying on right, and I didn't have a shawl pin that I liked, so I made this little brooch that I could put like a little rosette in the front. And I like it. And like, I feel like I should wear it more. Like, I can wear it with all sorts of things. Or you could pluck one of these like on a hat or something, but I liked the idea. I was playing with it of doing the coilless safety pin. And I also think I made this to meet one of the things on my Let Peachla Pick bingo board. But the reason I originally did it was because I needed something to hold that top on. So that is everything that I made in February. Now we're moving on to March. So in March, the beginning of March, I made 3 of the same thing. I have 2 of them to show you. This pattern is also available in Peachla's pattern pile. This is the Amulet bandana cowl, which, as you can see, it has that core warmth I talked about too. And this has the added benefit of when you're cold, because it comes up around your face. It keeps your breath and everything kind of like in and makes me feel extra warm, which was really nice. It's some of these like super cold snowy snaps we had to be able to wear one of these and just like hunker down. Extra cozy. Plus it works well like under a coat. This is the part, you know, where the air comes in. You can just zip it up and it all just zips around you, and I like the idea of this cowl because an amulet is meant to protect you from bad things. And so this can protect you both from like illness, keeping that core warm if you're not feeling well, or it can protect you from the cold, or it can just act as like a gift of love because it has a heart on it. And so it's like sending a hug to someone, which actually one of the ones that I made, I had gifted to a friend. So I don't have it to show you, but the general thing works up really fast. It's 3 components, but they're all worked together. There's this heart amulet, there's a bandana, and then there's the cowl segment, and it all just works together. And you could, if you wanted, flip the cowl the other way so it wouldn't be textured, but I like the texture that's on it. So there's this one, which is just made out of Super Saver in the colors Claret and Burgundy, which I had in stash. And then here is another one that I made, and this is out of, the black is Karen 1 pound in the Dalmatian colorway, or Karen Jumbo, because it's not 1 pound. Same thing, but it's the patterned one. This is Karen Jumbo in the Dalmatian color, and then the green is Spring Green. So it Spring Green in Red Heart Super Saver. So those just kind of match my colors, and I've enjoyed wearing this and having it, and I don't know. So that was a fun pattern to both make and use, and it leads me on to a bigger project. So many of you have been following the saga of my nephews who graduated last summer and the fact that I wanted to make them both Afghans. If you remember, I did complete one of the 2 Afghans last summer. I made a Tides of Change Afghan. It was huge. Tides of Change is a free pattern on Ravelry from Franco Randall. It's made in a mandala style. Then I had multiple iterations of the blanket that I was going to make for my other nephew. And I was going to intentionally not make it in blue because I had made his older brothers in blue. I wanted to make his in red. I have lots of Super Saver that I had bought for that purpose in reds and grays. I tried multiple blankets. I originally bought the yarn for it when we were in California waiting for my mom's services to happen after she died last year. So I was probably not in the best headspace to plan like massive projects. Like, just putting that out there, don't do that. It's probably not going to be successful. And so every iteration of this blanket that I'd been making with that yarn just kept not turning out right, and I was not happy, and I didn't want to make him something I wasn't happy with, and I didn't want to make him something that had any like bad feelings in it, because this should be like a celebratory blanket, right? So the last pattern I had settled on doing, after I finished the Tides of Change, I looked into Franco Randall's paid-for patterns, and he has one called the Sands of Change, and the nephew in question is an avid surfer, and like the beach is a thing, and so it seemed like, since I already made the Tides one for his cousin, making the Sands of Change would be a good idea for him. But I wasn't happy with the yarn, and there had been all sorts of tension issues and what have you. So it just kept getting put on the back burner, and it was causing me all sorts of guilt, because like I knew it was there. And at this point, like right now, we're like 10 months from when I was supposed to have had this done and when I would have liked to have gifted it to him, but I just didn't make that deadline, and that's fine. But one day I was looking at my yarn, and I had a bunch of cakes that I had bought actually on that same batch of time when we were down waiting at my dad's house for my mom's services, and I had bought 3 of these Karen big cakes in the color Nightberry. They were being discontinued at the Michaels there, and they were on sale, and I bought them, and I just had them, and I thought I would make some sort of blanket at some point. I didn't know for who or what, but I looked over at them one day, and I thought, I feel like I should try doing the Sands of Change pattern in that and see if the problems I've been having are the yarn, or are me, or are the pattern, or whatever. And as soon as I started it, it started working, and it started working out well, and the tension was good, and it was very pretty, and I was like, this is the blanket. This is the blanket I was supposed to make all along. So I went ahead and finished it, and I used all 3 cakes that I had. Now, I didn't reach the full pattern size. I think I only made it through like 2/3 of the instructions, but I just used all the yarn I had, and then I finished it off. So here is the Afghan. The ends are woven. It still needs to be washed. Every time I go to wash it, the washing machine is occupied with other stuff. But I was kind of saving it so I could show you all in a video, and then I will mail it off to him with an, sorry I missed your graduation note. But I think that he will enjoy it. I think this is a blanket that has the potential to be used and loved in his house for a very long time. It's more like a throw size, which actually knowing him is probably more useful. So that is that, and I'm really this project just alleviated a lot of guilt. And me feeling bad about this. Actually, this whole pile, there's actually a lot of guilt alleviated across the board for a number of reasons, all of them self-imposed. But it feels good to have this done. It feels good to have conquered that project. Even though I did not conquer this particular Afghan in the way that I thought I would originally, and it took multiple tries and multiple ways, like, I persevered. I made it happen. Sometimes I would have just ignored it and just never done the thing, and it would just maybe go away, but it wouldn't really go away because I'd keep thinking about it. But now there's like a nice tangible, like, haha, I did it. So I'm really happy with it. And again, it's beautiful and it feels really nice. So that is good. Also on the Caron Big Cakes, of my experience with different Caron things, on my experience with the different Caron Big Cakes, I actually had a really good experience with the Nightberry as opposed to the Butter Toffee, I think. Butter Brickle. Butter Toffee. Butter something. Toffee Brickle? This is what happens when colors don't look like their names. I can't get them to connect in my brain. But anyways, I'd used another Caron Big Cakes and it had lots and lots of knots in it. I'd used some to make a shawl and they had lots of knots in them. But this didn't, and so that was a good thing. Alright, that is enough time for this Afghan. Sorry that I went on and on and on, but I had lots to say because this has been a project that's been going on for a long time, as many of you know. So the thing that I worked on is another pattern that is now up in Peachless Pattern Pile. This pattern was inspired by my daughter, who turned 10 at the end of February. And for her birthday, her and I were talking, and I was like, hey, how about if I make a pattern inspired by you, and you can, like, help me with it? And she was very enthused. So she went through my stitch dictionary, and she picked some different stitch patterns that she liked, and we went through and compiled some data and things about different birthdays of hers, actually all of the birthdays of hers, and made a 10-section hat to celebrate her 10th birthday. And because of that, it is called the Decadent Frenchie Hat. Decadent because decade, decadent. And then the reason it's called the Frenchie Hat is here is the first fingering weight iteration. I originally made a worsted weight and I just didn't like, it didn't look fancy enough. It looked very juvenile and icky and I didn't like it. So we tried again and I changed to fingering weight. And this is the first iteration. And when I made it, it reminded me of the scene in Grease where Frenchie is talking to the waitress and she has like this scarf on her head. After she's gone to beauty school and her hair is pink, she takes the scarf off and the waitress looks at her and goes, it says something about, you know, your hair looks like an Easter egg. And so it made me think of that. And so it became the Decadent Frenchie Hat because Frenchie's hair looks like an Easter egg. And I'm okay with that. So this particular one is made out of scraps that I had of various sock yarns. So this one here, it's got 4 colors in it. This one here is a mill end bag of something that I got at Joann's. Then we have some Red Heart, Heart and Soul with aloe in a pinkish colorway, I can't remember. Then we have some more of that Red Heart, Heart and Soul, and this is in Green Envy, I think. Then there's some Red Heart, Heart and Soul in the like cream, and that is the 4 colors. And then the colors are different through. Now this was the first one I made. This one is slightly different than the pattern that is up on the pattern pile, but I have made 2 more of those that are to the pattern that's on the pile. Because I tweaked them after I made that one. I was wearing it around. This is all made out of the Red Heart, Heart and Soul with aloe in the Green Envy colorway. And the thing that I like about this hat is it's lacy. And so it's got like, it's super stretchy. The dimensions are very accommodating. They're accommodating to having lots of hair in them. The way I've frequently worn this is I'll put my hair in pigtails and then I'll put the hat over it and it kind of like fills out the hat. And keeps my hair out of the way. So that's kind of a fun way to wear it. Also, you can just fold the brim up like so. Fold the brim up. You can wear it as more of like a beanie, which gives you just some options. And it's nice and lightweight for the spring. And it's just kind of a nice little like hair covering. And then I made one more that is, again, striped, and this is out of higher end yarn. I liked the idea that you could take one pattern and you can make it so many different ways and so many different yarns, and like price point is no like problem. So these were mostly yarns that were gifted to me. This was a gift from Carla. This is a single. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. Then here's some Cascade 220 that I had left over from a shawl, my rose trellis shawlette that I made 4 or 5 years ago. Then this purple yarn is also something that Carla gifted me. This yellow is some cattails yarn that Kat had sent me when she first started dyeing. And it just goes through the different colors and stuff. And I'm sure that if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me wearing this hat because I like this hat. And it's so fun. And there's so many ways you can play with the striping, and all of that is indicated in the pattern. So you can totally do it single color, mix it up, whatever strikes your fancy. And now I have one more pattern that I have been working on, which is going to be up in the pattern pile here shortly. This is called the Put Your Eggs in One Basket poncho. And yeah, the ends are all woven in on this one. I just haven't clipped the threads yet. So the story on this pattern, as I think a lot of you know, I had been designing patterns for somebody else for a period of time a couple of years ago. I guess it's 2 years ago now. Yeah, like 2 years ago. And it was going to the spring, and I actually had a bunch of patterns backlogged that I was working on and had basically ready to type the patterns for them and film the tutorial videos when they decided they were done doing that. So I had these patterns that I had put like energy into, and I was paying for all of my materials myself, and they just didn't need them anymore. So I just kind of had these things and I was sitting on them. And so I just kind of stopped and took those patterns and shoved them in a drawer and did nothing with them, and just, I don't know, had negative feelings about them. But the thing is, I really liked the items I was working on. Like, just because the person I was working with turned out to be kind of crappy doesn't mean that the designs that I was making were crappy. The situation was, but it didn't mean there was anything wrong with the stuff that was mine. I just needed to like get over the situation, and I have. And when I pulled out the original like prototype of this and started working on it, I was like, wow, this pattern is like done and good, and I like it. And so I made a couple of these, and as soon as I get pictures taken, which means that my yard needs to be a little less mucky so I can get out to where I take pictures, then I will post this into the pattern pile. So this is coming quickly. So this is made out of, this particular one is made out of loops and threads, soft and shiny, in a purple variegated, a black. And then this is some more Karen Simply Soft Party in that light gray with kind of the rainbowy thing. And this poncho was worked in 3 segments. It's called Put the Eggs in One Basket because it's got a basket weave and it's got an egg section, which you might be able to see better on this one. This one is going to be for my daughter. I have not woven in the ends on this one yet. This is made out of exactly 2 cakes of Lion Brand Mandala Sparkle. And it has the 3 sections, as you can see, and I think it's going to be super cute. I like how the stripes, how doing it's like on its own, how the striping worked up. Now this pattern does not have to be striped. My original prototype actually was a single color, but like super variegated, and it totally lent itself to the pattern. I just tweaked the pattern when I was writing it up this time, and so I made some changes. So I frogged that prototype, and I have not made another one in a solid color because I just don't have the use for it currently. But I totally would recommend that if like this is too noisy for you, that maybe you try something a little bit more subdued, but the pattern I think is super cute and it's really comfortable. I've been wearing the other one even though I had not cut the ends off. Yeah, I wove them in and then I just started wearing it because I didn't know where my scissors were at the time. That's what happens sometimes. And then the last thing that I finished for the month is this, which is my reading shawl. It is beautiful. It has been blocked and everything. Like, I don't block things. Who's this person who wove in her ends and blocked things? Oh, that person's me. If you want to see the full thing, the reveal video and the wrap up of my January and February reading will be in a Yarn Tales video that comes out on Wednesday. So Wednesday is the wrap up video where the shawl gets revealed. So you can check that out. Now on to the things that I am working on. There are so many things. So let's see. Firstly, there is this I worked on in February. This is going to be, I think, the top for a dress. Or maybe, I don't know, it'll grow into a sweater or something. This is all fingering weight scraps of wool that I had in stash that I had gotten. Most of them are parts of stuff that I had gotten from one of Steve's coworkers. When she cleaned out her yarn stash, she gave me some things. So these are all just like bits and pieces. She goes to thrift stores a lot and she picks up really good stuff at the different sales she goes to because she is a very good knitter. So she knows what she's looking for. It's not like some people who give you yarn who don't know what they're giving you and whether the quality is like good or not. But she gets some really good deals on some really nice things. So these had actually, most of this had been part of my lanyap shawl, which I frogged because I wasn't happy with the fit and I never wore it. So I put it together and I just made up the stitch pattern as I went along. And then this top part is actually, I had made a cowl out of this. I think it might even be up on Ravelry as a project because I made it when I did winter camp a couple years ago. That was a lot of years ago now, huh? But anyways, when I did that, I had made a cowl out of this with some buttons I had forever, but I never wore it. I had made it and I wore it when I was working one place and I'm not working there anymore, and so I didn't need those kind of clothes, I guess. And just to match my current style. I made it before I started dyeing my hair, so that gives you a time on anything. But this lovely like sparkle purple I really, really like. And so I like how it turned out in the kind of neckline of this. So this is kind of just sitting on the side waiting for more scraps to happen. As I have more fingering weight scraps that I feel match these colors, I will just keep adding them in over time. And at some point, it'll be big enough to make a thing. So that is an ongoing work in progress. In February, I also spent time, especially one night, I was canning with a friend and I was working on this. This is the beginning of a shawl design. It is going to need to be tweaked, but I put a bunch of time and energy into it. So this is the beginning of a thing that is happening. Yeah. So I just thought I would share. I'm trying to be better about sharing things as they're in progress. I really like this drawstring project bag, by the way. I feel like there's still some in the shop. This fabric is just super pretty with the copper and like the gray tones in it. And I had made it around Christmas time, but I just like it all the time. The copper makes me super happy. So that's that. Let's see. Then I also, in February, started working on this project. I went through my yarn drawer and I pulled out all of the pink yarns that I own. And I picked some stitches and stuff and I started making this, which is going to be part of a larger garment. And I think it's going to be part of a larger garment that from the front looks less patterned and from the back looks more patterned. So I have ideas and that's just kind of a thing that's still brewing in my brain, and sometimes parts of it come off on my hook. This is another, dropping things. Oh, let's not lose that hook. This is another thing that I've been working on since last summer. I started making this Ruana that I'm making as I go. I started making it for my sister, and then I wasn't happy with the way part of it was going, and I needed to think on it for a while. And now I have a renewed interest in it and how it's going. For right now, it just kind of looks like a blanket. It has yet to be split into a Ruana yet. Ruanas are those things that kind of look like a blanket with a slit in it, and it like sits over your shoulders. So I'm about ready to pretty shortly here split and do the front segments. But it's kind of a samplery bit, like everything's different stitches, and I don't know. I'm playing with it as I go along, and it might become something that is publishable at some point, but right now I'm just making the one item. It's not something where I'm trying to make something that would be disseminated to other people, but it might be. I don't know. That one's still kind of playing in my head in that way. Then the most recent thing that Peachlet picked in my last Let Peachlet Pick was this, which is going to be a top for me. This is some Spring Green Super Saver. This is just as far as I've gotten. I haven't been putting a lot of time in this. It's been sitting on my like shelf. I worked on it during a VKN the other day, and just a couple of days here and there, just kind of picked it up and did a few rows. But it's not like a high priority for me, but it will get done. And I like the idea, and I think it'll turn out nice. Something that has been getting a decent amount of love over the last month. I started this in March. After I finished my nephew's Afghan, when I was cleaning up my drawers of yarn the last time that I kind of smooshed everything together, because if you haven't seen my Let Peachlet Pick video, I have taken my 16 drawers of yarn and I've used so much of it that I've actually turned 5 of them into storage for finished clothing. So it has like sweaters and dresses and hats and cowls and all the things. I'm looking forward to when I empty another drawer of yarn, because it would really be nice to be able to spread out a little bit more with my finished garments, because I keep making more. And I'll get there. But when I did that, I pulled all of the Bernat Mosaic in the Optimistic colorway out and put it in a bag ready to be made into a blanket for me, because I really like this yarn and I wanted to make something sizable because I have a lot of it. But I've already made myself a top, and I've already made myself a giant. I made one of my Cogitation wraps, which I actually button in this way where it becomes like a sweater. So I've already made those. So I have sizable garments out of this, and I don't need an entire wardrobe of Bernat Mosaic in the Optimistic colorway. So I decided that I would make another Tides of Change, because I wanted to make another Afghan, but I thought, you know, I just made the Sands of Change. Let's mix it up a bit. So I started making this, which is the Tides of Change, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Franco Randall. And I am loving how it's working up, and I'm looking forward to finishing it and having it like be part of my life, live on my couch, hang out with me. But I'm not like trying to burn through it and get it done super quick. But sometimes this becomes an obsession project where this is like all I want to do because I like the yarn and the colors. And it is going to be weird when I finally finish up all of that Bernat Mosaic, because I bought this yarn from the Yarn Inspiration, or Forest Yarn Inspirations, from the E-Tent that they used to have before everything turned over to the Yarn Inspiration site. And so you used to be able to buy cases and cases of yarn from them for like super cheap. And I bought a number of cases of yarn when I first started crocheting from them, not knowing any better necessarily about what things I would actually use or how. Some poor choices were made on some of them. I got really good deal. Like the price point was never the poor decision. The bringing that much of certain kinds of yarn into my life was sometimes a poor decision, but I don't know. I'm working through it. And so I had a whole case of this Bernat Mosaic, and I tried making it into lots of different things, and it did not lend itself to a lot of projects. Like I made and frogged a lot of things because it just didn't quite turn out right. One thing I did like made out of this was the Delaney hats. My kids each have one. I made one like many, many moons ago on my vlog channel when I hit 100, 150 subscribers, something like that. I did a giveaway, the only time I've done a giveaway, where I picked a name and I made somebody a hat, and then I sent along a Delaney hat for her daughter. So hi Sarah, how are you? But I made a Delaney hat out of that and sent it to her daughter as well. And then my kids have them. But other than that, this yarn does not play well with a lot of things. The top that I made has been fairly good. Though it wears kind of funny with like a seatbelt from the car, but I think that happens with a lot of things. The seatbelts are just not kind to handmade items. But yeah, I'm really happy with this blanket, and we'll see. Hopefully it will eat up the majority of that yarn. I'm going to laugh so hard if I still have yarn left when that's all done. But I think there's actually a chance that I might not even get through the whole pattern. If I don't, then I'll just end when I end, but we'll see. Then I have 2 more things, and then we're done. So, in this bag is something that I can't show you, but I'll tell you about it because it's making me real happy. This is the next reading shawl. There will be the reveal of the reading shawl I had been doing that has January and February's reading. That'll come out on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, you get to see the introduction to the new yarns. I bought yarn to make another reading shawl because I wanted to, and I wanted to treat myself to some nice yarn because yeah, I thought it was a good thing. So I did, and I'm already like making major progress on this. There's been videos filmed. I wish I could share it with you, but I want you to wait and see them as they come out on Yarn Tales. So that is a thing. And then this is another design in progress. This is another design from that batch, like the Put Your Eggs in One Basket poncho. This was meant to go in that same like collection of patterns. Oh my gosh, how is my hook stuck? There we go. The other day when we went to Walmart, I bought that Lion Brand mandala in the sparkle to make my daughter's poncho. I bought 3 more cakes of mandala, the non-sparkle. Now I do want to mention that with the Lion Brand mandala, that the sparkle is my least favorite sparkle yarn I've ever used. I did not like the way it felt on my hands. Not at all. It was unpleasant for me to work with. And I've never really had that problem. I found that there's yarns that don't frog well, that have sparkle in them, but I've never found them as uncomfortable as that particular yarn. I know a lot of people really like Lion Brand mandala. It's fine. I haven't been like super enthused, but it also hasn't like turned me off. It's just, it's fine. So this is a shawl pattern in progress. Taking a pattern that I've been working on, tweaking it, and yeah. So this will be coming to the pile probably by the end of the month. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not putting any sort of like parameters on it. Of course, unless Peachlet gets to pick my crafty life again and she tells me to add more patterns, well then that will be the next one that's coming. But I think that's everything. That wasn't that much. It really wasn't that many items, and I have a lot of things in progress. Before I started this, I frogged a lot of things that were kind of like hanging over me, so feel good. Hopefully you all have had a good and productive crafty time in February and March. If you want to see as I finish things, I'm trying to be better about showing more of my things as I'm doing them on Instagram and other places. I talk about them in my Sunday Sunrise videos sometimes, but podcasts just don't always happen, and yeah. I hope you don't mind these long, like I'm going to just do everything all at once. And if you do mind, that's what pause is for, and you can watch it in smaller doses. Okay, like I said, don't forget that Veda is happening here at Hooked by Happenstance, so every day in April there will be something. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on them, subscribe to the channel, because my timings on things are not always consistent, because that is the way that life works. So if you want them to just pop into your subscription feed, the subscribe button is the way to make that happen. And if you leave me comments on videos this month, I'll be answering them in my Meant to Write Sooner videos. Or I'll reply to most of them. Okay, I will see you all next time. Bye!